So in our application, we've been using the built-in HTML template package, which is part of the standard library in Go. And I think it's important to know how that library works. But those of you that are coming to web development in Go from other languages might find that the syntax for templates in Golang is a little awkward. And it is, but it gets the job done and you get used to it very quickly. And I think it's very important that you know what it is. Having said that, there are other template systems out there. And there are many to choose from. You can actually just Google Golang template engines and you'll get a list of a whole bunch of them. I want to draw your attention to one, and I want to show you a very, very simple application that uses this templating system. So the templating system is found here, github.com/cloudykit with a capital C and a capital K /jet. And it's been around for a while. It's up to version 6 as I record this, and I use it all the time. Sometimes I use Go templates, sometimes I use CloudyKit, sometimes I use something else. But Jet is something that many of you who are used to using, say, Blade templates in Laravel might find this a little more useful. It's very, very simple to implement. So you can read all the documentation here, and I'll show you how it works. So they actually have a syntax reference, a nice wiki. Some things are out of date, but it's easy to figure it out. And I'll show you how it works here anyway. So I'm going to go back to my application and just take you through the code. So very simple app. I'm in my main package, which is in command web main. And I just defined some roots. And for this one, I used I think I used pat. Let's find the roots and find out. Yes, I used the pat router, which I went through in this course already. And I just defined two roots, /, which is the home page, and send, which is just an empty page. I needed to put something there, so I put send. So back to our main Go. Once we do this, we actually listen and serve. And we listen on port 8080, as we've been doing in our course. So let's go look and see what some of these handlers, how they work. Okay, so I'll go to the home page. And the home page, this is the handler for the home page. And just as it does in our course, it takes a response writer and a pointer to a request. And then I just built up some data, just dummy data to send to a template. Let me space this out a bit so you can see a little better. So I start by defining a jet varmap variable. Okay, so I just make that. And it holds anything I want. So once I've created this variable called data, I call the built-in method set, and I give it a name. This is what I'm going to refer to it in using my Jet template. And I just store some value in there. And I can put whatever I want in there. So initially I just set user ID is equal to 1. Then I set another one. First, for first name, is equal to a string. So I put an int in, I put a string in, then I define a slice of strings, which are the days of the week, and I set a variable in my data called DOW for days of week, and passed in that slice of strings. Then I called render page, and I'm passing that three things. I'm passing it the response writer, which I need to write to. That's what's going to be how we render information to the end user in their web browser. The name of the template I want to load, and then the data. Now this render page is not part of the Jet template package, just to be clear. I'm just calling my own function, which is right down here. And all I do is I have those three arguments, and I create, I have a variable called views, and I call get template. Now view is way up here, and that's a Jet set. And this is what you have to start with to make sure that you can actually use the Jet templating engine. And it's really, really simple. So I say, first of all, there's an OS file system loader. Look at the root level of the application in a folder called HTML. And over here, I have an HTML folder that has two files, home and send. The second one I put in development mode because I want to be able to load changes to my template without stopping and restarting the application. Kind of like the cache variable we used in our system. So I have this variable views down here. I say view error is equal to, or assign the value of views, get the template, whatever it is. Now I passed home.jet here, so it goes to the file system. It looks in the directory I specified, which I called HTML, and it looks for a file called home.jet, which is the argument I passed. So if it can't get that, it just returns an error and logs the error. Otherwise, I execute that view, that home.jet, and I pass it my response writer, because it gives it something to write to. the data, which is that jet set variable that I defined a little while ago and put a few values in. And the third one is actually context. I'm not going to bother going through that. You can read it yourself. It's another place to store information, and it uses the context to store that. That executes that template. If it can't execute it, it returns an error. So let's start this application. Go run command web main or star.go. Try that again. Star.go. Starts the application, listens on port 8080. I go back to my web browser. I go to a tab, and I go to localhost 8080. And I'm not going to put anything in there. I want to display the home page. And there it is. It displays it all. Very, very simple. Let's go look at the template and see how that is different from the built-in Go templates. It's actually pretty simple. So let me go to the home page and hide this and have a look. So this is just a simple HTML page. I just load Bootstrap's CSS and Bootstrap's JavaScript, which I'm not even using. But I load it, and then I just say this is the home page, and then user ID, I just refer to user ID with no dot. That's one difference right away. And the first name is first with no dot. And ranging over things, range key value is assigned the value of, and that's pretty straightforward. Now, the syntax is actually a little simpler than it is in the Golang templates, and you have some built-in functions as well. So let's go back and look at those. CloudyKit, we'll go to the wiki. Some things are out of date, but not too many. Someday I'm going to go rewrite his documentation and give it to him. So built-in functions, for example. You get some nice, simple built-in functions to change things to lowercase, to uppercase, to trim space. Check to see if a variable is actually there or not, which a lot of people miss in Golang templates, including me. And you get all of these other ones as well. And the documentation is really, really easy to work with. So, for example, let's see if we can find decisions. If then else. Here we are. If expression, end. See how easy this is? And it's simpler than using the EQ or NE or all of those little comparison operators that you have in the Golang templates. Now, it sounds as though I'm suggesting you use Jet templates instead of the built-in Go templates, and nothing could be further from the truth. I think it's really important that people coming to Go for the first time become used to the built-in templating syntax because you're going to run into it in other projects. But once you've mastered that, or you're really comfortable with it, if you want to use something like Jet, there's nothing to stop you from doing that. And a lot of people find it easier. Also, template inheritance is built in, all those things that you really expect to find from a good templating package. All right, one other thing I want to draw to your attention. So this is my home page. Here's one thing, one compelling reason why a lot of people come here. Let me define or refer to a variable, ABC, that I know doesn't exist. And I'll save that. And I'll go back to my web browser right here, find my home page. Let me reload this. And now it gives me a meaningful error message, which is conspicuous by its absence in the built-in Go templating system. And this, if nothing else, is extremely helpful. So there you go. I just wanted to draw your attention to this. And if you really like Jet templates and want to use those instead of the ones that I'm using for the remainder of this course, feel free to do so, but I would strongly encourage you to leave your experimentation with Go templates to a separate project and follow along with the way that I'm doing it in this course, or finish the course and then rewrite the pages in Jet, which is not a terribly onerous task.